Hi, I'm Paul Pachter, CEO of Long Island Cares and the Harry Chapin Regional Food Bank, and welcome back to another episode of Breaking Bread, our YouTube program that brings you, the viewer, inside the workings of the Regional Food Bank, but also introduces you to key figures here on Long Island, important people in terms of providing services to our residents in need. And today I have a very important guest, and that's Jose Dominguez, who is the CEO of the Long Island chapter of the American Red Cross. Jose, welcome. It's great to see you again.
Thank you so much, Paul, for having me. It's really exciting. I love this.
Excellent. So, look, I think everybody knows what the American Red Cross is. But give us a sense of how the American Red Cross works here on Long Island in both Nassau and Suffolk counties. What are you seeing? What's your workforce like? And what are your biggest challenges these days?
Thank you. Thank you so much for that. The Red Cross has been around for over 140 years. It was founded by Clara Barton. And it was, in response to, of course, the Geneva Conventions way back when. And it was really incredible. But here on Long Island, I can tell you how it's morphed and progressed throughout the years is tremendous. And every single region across the country, and then globally, when we have all of these chapters and federations, it's tremendous to see the wonderful work that is being provided, the services that we provide, providing emergency communications for service to the armed forces, for international refugees, responding to disasters, home fires, something that we see every day practically and sadly. We provide services like installing smoke alarms. And once again, these services are free as well. So this is really important for anybody who needs assistance or needs a smoke alarm. This program is something that's very near and dear to our hearts. And it was found in 2014, we finally implemented it in the Red Cross nationwide. But then we also provide CPR and first aid. Something as basic as that. And then we also are the largest provider of blood across the United States. So we provide 40% of the blood supply across the United States. So it's many, many services. And then, of course, the partnerships that we establish with people like you and your wonderful organization just to spread the word of what we do and how we can coexist on a very small island of 18 miles long, something like that, which takes 5 hours or 6 hours to get across or through. But still, it's really, I can tell you one of the challenges, Paul, that we're having is just reaching the community members and letting them know that we are here. People know what we do, but not really necessarily what we provide. And I think that's what I'm really grateful for being here, is just to actually share a couple of things of what we do and what people can do to be prepared and resilient.
I mean, providing blood where needed, having families get access to smoke detectors or to carbon monoxide detectors, these are very important things, especially as we're meeting right now in the middle of a significant crisis in the Bronx, where 17 families, 17 individuals died in a fire. The American Red Cross is always first on the scene. What happens when you show up to an event like that? I mean, what goes through your mind?
I was there on Sunday when it started in the Bronx, and I was also there back in November at Riverhead when that Victorian house caught on fire as well. And the first thing that goes through our mind is just literally getting our teams on the ground, ready to go, to register people, to sign up for services that we're providing, and just provide them at least, a warm cup of coffee, a meal if they have not eaten, or a snack. If they have a pet with them, that's something that we obviously acknowledge as well, providing them with those type of resources as well. I can tell you, for me, Sunday, the first thing was, what am I going to be able to do without getting in the way? Because every now and then I just love to go and talk to people, and then I forget of how people are grieving. And in this situation, when you had such a large number of fatalities, and 8 of them happened to be children, it was devastating. It was absolutely devastating. We had over 200 people in this one school cafeteria-like setting, and everybody was sitting there and wondering what's next. what's next in the recovery process? What am I going to do without this? Am I going to be able to get my belongings? And at that time, nobody was being allowed back into this building, and it's 19 floors, tremendous. And of course, I'm sure you all have read, just the way it started. It started with a faulty heater.
Sure.
As
As many fires do start
many
that way.
fires do. And the smoke alarms, one of the things that we got from some of these residents was that they didn't really acknowledge the fact that the smoke alarm was going on because it was faulty. It was going on all the time. And so it's that cry wolf type of situation where they've heard it so many times, they didn't react to it. It was just something that was part of their nature. And then, sadly, the family where the fire began, their door was left open. It wasn't an automatically closing door. It was not functioning at the time. So,
which allowed the fire to spread because it was taking in oxygen from the
Very much
hallways.
So it was just a perfect storm of a horrible disaster and a horrible situation. And even in Riverhead, this was back in November, where 5 people perished, and as well as children, some of the children for these families. And it was awful because their smoke alarms were not functioning. And so if there's something as simple as installing a smoke alarm, a service that not only we offer, the fire departments offer as well. We partner with every single fire department in New York City and on Long Island and in the lower Hudson Valley where our greater New York region resides. And it's tremendous. It's tremendous that this is a service that's there. We just need people to actually understand that it's there for them.
Yep.
It's something that simple.
Let me take you back a couple of years to 2013. The American Red Cross was on the scene with Long Island Cares, with other organizations, when we experienced Superstorm Sandy. And, this was a major event with tens of thousands of families who were, well, thank goodness many of them weren't displaced, but were now living in 2-3-story homes on one floor because everything, first floor and down was flooded out. And there's always challenges when you respond to disasters. And you said, what you said is so true. The first thing you have to be aware of is I don't want to get in anyone's way. I don't want to get in the way of the fire department. I don't want to get in the way of Office of Emergency Management. Food banks like ours, we usually consider ourselves third tier in responding to a disaster. We would first take our cue from the Office of Emergency Management, and then we would take our cue from the Red Cross. And then if we were needed, we would go in. Oftentimes, local government tries to go around that policy, those procedures, and contacts us directly. But I think it's important that, especially in disaster preparedness and disaster relief, that there is a lead organization that can coordinate the activities. And you guys did a lot of work in coordinating the Sandy response. What are your protocols in terms of if a community, a government needed to call in the Red Cross? We're dealing with sub-zero temperatures right now with heating facilities opening up temporarily. You're dealing with people losing power. You're dealing with people who could have a flood. What's the protocol? How do you decide you're getting on the scene and then you're going to bring in others?
It starts with our local responders here. It does start with our local volunteers. We're very fortunate that the Red Cross here on Long Island, we do have a capacity of around 1,000 volunteers, give or take. And it's very interesting because the disaster action team is what we call them. Those are our responders here. They're the first ones that are notified of any disaster in partnership with our fire departments and even police departments. And even partners like you, if you see something, we would love to be notified just to say, okay, sure, there is somebody that needs help and we can provide that service. But when it escalates to something as large as Sandy, something that's completely just not predicted, you just can't even figure out how large it was going to be, that typically escalates our response efforts nationally. We are a national organization based out of DC. And so in that case, we start looking at what the scale is going to look like, because immediately we know that we're going to exhaust all the local resources that we have here. Not necessarily within our partners, but I know Red Cross resources as far as people are concerned who are going to be able to respond. And so once we do designate what that level of disaster is going to look like, just based on a pipeline and just, forecasting, then we can determine how many people can we bring in. And something that people don't know about the Red Cross is we have thousands and thousands of volunteers, at least, on any given day, 100,000 volunteers across the United States. Doesn't sound like much considering.
That's a lot.
But it is a lot for our small juggernaut of an organization, as I like to say. And it's interesting because we do grab these volunteers that are trained, and they've been with us for, however long they are, but they are skilled and trained in the service that they provide, whether it's mass care, whether it's casework, disaster assessment. These are individuals that have taken the classes that we offer, classes that we offer to the community as well, and to partners like you, free of charge once again. And I want to say that over and over again because, of course, there's always a misconception. But, those individuals are then deployed into that affected or impacted area. So in Sandy, I can tell you, it started, when did Sandy start? I always forget.
October of 2013.
And it went on for months. And within that, within that cycle of time, we deployed, I would say probably around 5,000 volunteers alone just to this impacted area. That included, New York City, the 5 boroughs, Long Island, tremendous impact on Long Island. So we had thousands of volunteers
Especially
here.
the South Shore,
And typically a volunteer will sit and deploy for 14 days at a time. And then they're given the option to extend. So it's up to that volunteer, and they do it. They sacrifice the time with their families. So we're constantly thanking their families for that as well. But we, thanks to donor dollars, we're able to transport people, volunteers, into the impacted sites. So that's what you're going to see out there, people from across the entire United States. Sometimes we even bring in the Canadian Red Cross. We work with them. Oh, yeah. Very, very much so. The Mexican Red Cross, when we had a border crisis and we were providing shelter to unaccompanied minors, we would solicit their assistance as well. And I would say the most recent Hurricane Ida in Louisiana, I was in Louisiana and the Mexican Red Cross was there. And during Irma and Maria, we had the Finnish Red Cross. We had several societies, the British Red Cross as well. And these are all people that raise their hands because we're such an intertwined network of organizations across the globe. So
it's interesting about the Mexican Red Cross
Oh, yeah.
working in Louisiana, where, all we hear about is secure our borders, build the wall. But when you need organizations or talented people from another country like Mexico, they can't come quick enough to help us. And yet in other areas, we sort of don't want to deal with them. If somebody wanted to volunteer, donate blood, access a smoke detector or a carbon monoxide detector, how would they go about contacting you?
They can call the Red Cross, the Long Island chapter, but we do have an 800 number that everybody can access, and you go through a prompter just like everybody else. But it's 1-877 Red Cross or redcross.org. Very, very easy. Very straightforward.
Well, it's been a pleasure to have you with me.
Such a
the
pleasure.
15 minutes go so
I know,
quickly.
that was it.
Especially when you're providing so much information and valuable information. We are definitely going to have you come back again and talk about what's going on. I know personally and my staff, we look really forward to working with you.
Thank you.
So Jose Dominguez, thank you so much for joining us today. And if you liked what you saw and what you see, please consider subscribing to our YouTube channel right here to get Breaking Bread every time we air the episodes. So until next time, this is Paul Pachter, CEO of Long Island Cares. See you next time on Breaking Bread. Have a good day.